10 reasons why you should support the crown.
10 reasons why we should keep the British monarchy still.
Reason
reasons why
5 may
Margaret
shock
Thatcher
you.
actually made it to heaven. Number all of them will shock you.
Hey, you. You're finally awake. You were trying to play a good game, right? Walked right into Todd Howard's spyware, same as us, and this podcast right here. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Alina.
I'm Peter.
I'm Cole.
And today we're talking about Bethesda.
Legal reasons. I don't think that Todd Howard actually releases spyware.
Yes,
That's
that's
not the official opinion of this podcast.
That is a joke. That one was a joke.
We are legally protected.
Yes.
It's the official opinion of me, and that's about it.
There, I know.
Just because every fucking program in existence past the age of like 2006 is spyware in some capacity.
Fair. But here, I know how to make it all better immediately with every law ever. Allegedly.
Allegedly. In Minecraft.
The Game Awards, as of recording this, were a day ago, and Starfield won fuck all. As I think it really deserved to win. Nothing. I made it no secret last week that I do not like Skyrim to a significant extent. And I was clear that it is like, it is a grudge. I hold a grudge. But today, I am unfortunately going to do my level best to be honest and balanced and acknowledge the few good things that I think Skyrim has going for it. Because the truth is this. I think that most games that Bethesda has made, past like Oblivion maybe, are a solid 5 out of 10. I think they are fine. I think they're like fully average. If I had a wide array of stuff to choose to spend my time with, I would not specifically choose most of their things, but there were worse ways to spend it, I guess. It's like, I don't know, right? Like, I feel like a lot of the time that most of Bethesda's games for quite a while are just, unfortunately, suffered from the worst crime that anything can be, which is that they're kind of boring.
Generic RPG is generic. Who would have thought?
Fuck, never me. Yeah, it doesn't have to. Just because something is a generic RPG does not then immediately mean that it's boring. Final Fantasy is like the concrete typical JRPG, right? That a lot of people think of. I would not call Final Fantasy boring.
No, not at all.
There are times where it's like a spreadsheet game and you have to crunch some numbers, but
I mean, I would call Final Fantasy the benchmark for JRPGs, or the standard, I guess.
Yeah, it's like Final Fantasy is one of the things that really brought JRPGs to prominence in the America, for good reason. It's the standard. At least over here, it's the standard. I don't know what Japan thinks of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Final Fantasy / Dragon Quest are the JRPG gold standard.
This is territory I am highly unfamiliar with.
Oh yeah. Here was from
Well, don't worry, we're gonna leave the unfamiliar territory because we're talking about shitty American RPGs.
Okay, cool.
Bethesda Game Studios to make
I'm
a
American.
clear. Wow. What cool and engaging information. Form a differentiation really quick because I know for a fact that some people are maybe a little confused. There are two big Bethesda names, two of them. Count them, two. There is rather Bethesda Game Studios, the actual developing in-house of Bethesda,
Mhm.
and then there is Bethesda Softworks, the publishing studio that publishes things. Um, and particularly games like Dishonored and Deathloop were published by Bethesda. They were not made by Bethesda. They were notably made by Arcane Leon, who actually learned at the Game Awards yesterday, are making a game based on Blade from Marvel, which
What?
which is probably going to be really good considering their track record in that type of game.
I like Blade. Blade's cool. He's a cool guy.
um,
Go watch
but
Blade.
yeah, there's a bunch of different games that are published by Bethesda but were not made in house by Bethesda. To my knowledge, most of the things that Bethesda's made, at least most of the bigger things that Bethesda's made for the past while, go from we're today. I think what's gonna happen is we're gonna trail the path, the trail, fuck, the road from like Morrowind and Oblivion to like through like Fallout 3 and like into Skyrim and Fallout 4 and more recently Starfield. We're gonna skip 76 because I don't know enough about how the game actually functions.
I know there's an item shop because I saw a friend open it on their Xbox
I
once.
don't know. I don't know if 76 has a main story or not, or if it's just a fucking
I think one was added
open
in.
world for you to dick around with your friends with.
I don't
I
know.
think there was like story content added in, but I do not know anything about it, so that's why I'm skipping it.
I have a single Fallout game. I don't remember which one it is, and I never took it out of the wrapping. So,
my first exposure to the Fallout series was actually when I was over at my aunt's house once, and my cousin was playing Fallout New Vegas, which we may talk about briefly, but was not developed by Bethesda, so I will maybe skim it.
okay.
Um, the it was at a later point in the game, and I was like, can I check this out for a bit? And he's like, yeah, sure, dude. And he gave me the controller for a bit. Then I died like immediately because I did not know how to play that kind of game at that point in time. Yeah, for those who may somehow be unaware, Obsidian Interactive are the people who developed Fallout New Vegas, which is why, of the modern Fallouts, it's one of the few ones that's actually really good. It's not like a 5 or a 6 out of 10 to me.
Fair.
Yeah, so what better place to start than the beginning? Not of Bethesda,
But of everything.
but of
But of
everything.
In the
everything.
beginning.
There was a
There was
huge explosion.
On today's episode, we're going to be reading the entirety of Genesis.
Starting at the beginning, not of Bethesda necessarily, with maybe a little bit, because some of the criticisms we're going to be talking about here do go all the way back to like Elder Scrolls Arena, the first Elder Scrolls game. Specifically that of like the way that Bethesda does open world stuff, but this can also be broadly taken as a criticism of open world as a type of game. I hesitate to say genre because you can shove most kinds of genres in to open world. It's more of like a formula than a. It's
a lot of games
yeah.
did that recently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been going on for a while.
Zelda, Halo, and Sonic are the ones I know about. Where they just took the thing and went open.
I can't believe Sonic Frontiers stole from the far superior Sonic Adventure.
But yeah, the criticisms of Elder Scrolls Arena, and especially in regards to its open world, are that like, yeah, it's big, and that's kind of technically impressive. Like, I don't mean technically impressive, even like, oh, it's technically. No, I mean like technologically, literally technologically impressive for the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just also like
It's got fuck all
what's
in it.
it's not necessarily even that it has fuck all in it. It's like, what's the point in all the fucking space?
Yeah.
Like, why is it so big? And the breadth of it all, it loses meaning. There's no purpose to it being so fucking huge,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I think, also can be kind of a thing that can kind of be levied at a lot of uh, open world games that kind of exist. Because, like, yeah, what is the space and the space? The point in all the space. What is
Yeah.
why did this game have to be open world
Well,
specifically?
especially when a lot of these games feel the need to add fast travel, because it's like, okay, I'm not even traversing over this space. I'm just
Yeah,
teleporting from one important point to another important point. So why even bother with the space in between?
exactly. Like, if you have a big open world game, I should like traversal enough that I don't really want to fast travel.
Yeah.
Unless
That's one of
it's such a vast space that, you know.
yeah, unless it's yeah, unless it's like such a huge fucking space that it's like, well, I kind of have to, or I'm going to be spending the next like hour and a half going in this
Running.
direction.
Yeah.
And that is still like a thing of like, why is there so much space then? Could you not achieve a similar effect with it being in a slightly smaller space? Um, so yeah, there's that. But technically, Arena is not where we're starting today. I want to begin
Mhm.
more so with Oblivion than Morrowind. Um, I do want to say a few things about Morrowind. For the record, have not played Morrowind because this is a really shitty reason. Um, it's
Mhm.
graphically terrible, and
Wow.
I know I'm not usually someone who cares so much about graphical appearance that I straight up can't play a game because of it. But
But Morrowind is an exception. I
Morrowind
have
is an
tried to
exception.
play Morrowind before, and yeah.
It it just everything looks like mud. It's I I've been spoiled by graphical fidelity all my life.
Mud with sharp corners.
Mud with sharp
Yeah, frozen mud.
Yeah. I I suppose Halo spoiled me in that regard because it solved that problem by making everything a bit more colorful, so it doesn't all look like
True.
mud.
Also, I know this is kind of a bit of a I just don't have a word here to autofill. That
Oh,
sucks. Uh, my brain failed me.
darn.
The thing is that shit. No, I forgot. No,
Looks like
hang
we're gonna
on.
put the podcast on hiatus until
No,
Cole
I got it. I got it back. I
remembers.
got it back. I got it
Okay,
back.
okay, okay.
Uh, I looked this up once,
Mhm,
and so there's a game series, like Metroid Prime, that is really, really, really good, and it came
mhm,
out on the GameCube around the same time that Morrowind came out. And the thing about the Metroid Prime trilogy on the GameCube and also on the Wii, I guess, because the third one is on the Wii, um, is that it still looks really good. Um, but the thing is, like, the way that they did that would not necessarily work in Morrowind because Morrowind is a consistent open world with like basically no loading screens except for like when you go inside buildings. Um, the actual world itself doesn't have like loading screens between walking around through the areas and like going into cities and things. Um, whereas in Metroid Prime, the way that loading works is it loads one room at a time. It only ever has two rooms rendered at any given time. Um, one of them is the room you're in, and depending on which door is currently open slash being opened, it's either the room behind you or the room you are heading into. Everything else is unloaded basically all the time. And obviously, when you're trying to do a consistent open world in fucking 2001, I think it's 2001, you can't really do that. So, but at the same time, I do feel like there are some things that Morrowind could have applied that would have made it look less. bad,
It was
even at the time.
2002, not 2001.
2002.
Yeah.
Um, there's still like things you could have applied to make it look less like mud the entire time. So ultimately, though, the point is full disclosure. I've not really played Morrowind. I unfortunately am poisoned by modern technology, and therefore I'm stuck not being able to play it, which sucks because I've heard several really good things about the actual story of Morrowind and how it handles certain things. But the mechanic I want to talk about that gets really that a lot of people have complained about, so we probably won't be spending too much time on it, but I still think it's important to briefly cover at least. I say briefly as if I have not spent the past 10 minutes talking about other shit. Um, is the in Morrowind you have a precursor to what would become Bethesda's like essential NPC system. So like you in Bethesda games for the past several years, you have straight up been unable to kill certain NPCs, because doing so would make the game unplayable. It would make it so the story can't progress because these characters are necessary for the story to continue.
Mhm.
Um, and Morrowind has like what I consider to be an earlier version of this, where you can kill those characters, but when you go to do so, the game warns you that if you do this, it refers to it as like the thread of prophecy will be severed and you will live in a doomed world. Which, like, okay, is that technically better than straight up not being able to go your own way about this? And sometimes your own way is murder. Uh, Maybe. I don't really think so because it still puts the game into an unwinnable state. When I think the much simpler thing to do, for at least like from any kind of storytelling perspective, any kind of RPG perspective, role playing game perspective, is that you just like you put fail safes in. The fun thing is, Fallout New Vegas does this, if I recall correctly. Fallout New Vegas does not have an essential NPC system. I don't believe it. I have to double check this really quickly because I might be misremembering
Mhm.
things right now. But regardless of if it does or doesn't, the point remains the same, which is like that you can have fail safes regardless of like you can kill this character, but then like the information that they would have told you is stored in like a journal somewhere that you can read, and then you have access to that
Mm.
information still. Or like this character would have given you an item, and if you end up killing them for whatever reason, you can find the item on their body, or maybe you find a note on their body saying where they hid it, and you have to go find it then. And it causes like these deviations in gameplay. That's what a role playing game should be about. Is when you play your role, different things happen.
Hmm. That does sound
But
better than "you can't win now, get wrecked."
Or just being unable to kill who you want
Yeah.
because they're annoying.
see, that's exactly the thing. I am going to come back to that point because I think also there's a different thing. There's a different issue that I have with Bethesda games for the past several years. That the essential NPC system is not a problem of. I don't think it's necessarily a problem in and of itself. I think it is the symptom of a problem that I will get to in the future.
Okay.
um, yeah, that's all I really wanted to discuss as far as Morrowind goes because I haven't played it, so I can't really.
I
I
didn't
don't have a lot of
even
information.
know it existed until not
Hey,
right now,
hey,
so
that's honestly half the issue. Skyrim is so massive and eclipsing that people straight up forget that there are four other Elder Scrolls games before it ever existed.
yeah.
Yeah, but two of them are Arena and Daggerfall, so I don't blame you for forgetting
Two-
those exist.
I mean, I've heard really good things about Daggerfall. Again, as far as like the story goes, but mechanics wise, it does seem like kind of a fucking nightmare. So
Yeah, yeah. 3 out of 5 of the other Scrolls games would be better as books.
maybe
Yeah.
Plus, it's a whole lot harder to release a book 17 times across several different consoles.
Yeah. Read your Elder Scrolls book today on Xbox. What?
Huh?
Huh?
Oblivion. Oblivion has the
Mm.
essential NPC system, so you can't kill certain people, but it also has a few other things that I think still put it at a 6 out of 10 instead of Skyrim's
Woo!
5 out of 10. Namely, is the fact that in Oblivion you do still kind of get the sense that you have to actually like work to earn the power that you end up wielding. In Skyrim, you just become the Dragonborn. It's just what you are, and so you're given like this inordinate amount of power. But also, the game does not give you many ways to actually express that inordinate amount of power because it has to quote unquote account for the fact that technically you can do all the stuff in the game with few exceptions, like before you find out that you're the Dragonborn. Um, so therefore, like you can do basically everything in Skyrim before you find out that you're the Dragonborn. The only stuff you can't do are the Dragonborn specific things.
Mm.
Um, much of which is like the main story stuff. I'm pretty sure you can still like learn shouts from word walls. You just can't do anything with them.
Congratulations, you know this. Dragonbornless loser.
That's a different problem though. In Oblivion, you do have to like actively work up the ranks of several different organizations. And this is also the case in Morrowind, so I've been told, where in Morrowind, the first like many hours of gameplay are you like being a grunt in the alchemist guild because you need money and like a place to live essentially.
I play too much Halo. Just imagine the little grunt running around, getting a house.
Okay, but the idea of a grunt being an alchemist is, I think, pretty cute.
Yeah.
The main things that I don't like about Oblivion is still really just the fact that it's like a bit ineffectual, and also is one of the things that I don't like about Skyrim, where the sort of role part of role playing game is fully removed. This is something that Morrowind does as well, which is something I don't like about it, where at the beginning of Morrowind and Oblivion and Skyrim, um, you are you are fucking nobody. You have no past. The games do not ask who you are. They do not ask you what role you want to play, because that doesn't matter whatsoever. Despite the fact that you get to build your own character, you because there's like fundamentally several main design philosophies as far as RPGs go, but like I like to boil them down into games RPGs where you build the role that you play, and RPGs where you are given a role to play. So RPGs where like the protagonist is named and talks sometimes, or even just is completely not customizable. Those are ones where you're given a role to play and you're told to act as if you are this character. But RPGs where you get to build your own dude are presumably ones where you get to decide your own role, but that is not the case in a lot of Bethesda games because the games don't give a shit about any of that. Nothing is ever brought up really about like your past whatsoever because your past is gone. It is a mystery, oftentimes a mystery even to yourself. In Morrowind, you're just on an Imperial ship going to Morrowind for reasons that are not made clear to you. You're immigrating to Morrowind or returning to Morrowind, maybe, depending on if you're a Dunmer or not. But the but like none of that is ever made clear. You're there for reasons mostly undisclosed to you, and you don't have like an active past that you can refer to because the game does not prescribe you a role and pretends that you build your own role when you don't, because the game does technically prescribe you a role. It prescribes you in Morrowind the role of the Nerevarine. which is you're prophesized to do a thing, and you become the Nereverian by doing all these trials and shit. And yes, is it a good story? Maybe, probably. I've been told it's very good by a lot of people who I trust, so I'll believe them.
Okay, so I have a bit more context to Morrowind's story,
Oh.
so I can back this with slightly more accuracy.
Thank you.
Okay.
The game does pretend that you do not have a past in Morrowind, when in actuality you were always the Nerevarine. Like you used to be the Nerevarine used to be a god, and you were exiled for being, or not exiled. You were fucking excommunicated for reasons I cannot remember. I don't remember if they're ever disclosed. And so basically the entirety of Morrowind is you regaining your divinity so you can kick the shit out of everyone else that said you don't deserve it.
How dare you?
Well, that does sound like a good time.
Yeah.
Unlike Oblivion and Skyrim, where you are literally just some guy doing your
You are
stuff.
literally some guy.
just some
In-
lad.
In Oblivion, you are the hero of Kvatch. Or Kvatch?
Cabbage.
Kvatch, the hero of Cabbage. That's how you spell cabbage now. We've decided.
Yep. It's cabbage. Cabbage the whole time. You've all of you have been spelling it wrong. And if your spell checker says it's spelled wrong, then your spell checker is wrong. Tell it to ignore it. In fact, add it to your dictionary.
In Oblivion, you are the hero of Kvatch. And who is the hero of Kvatch? Who are you? The game never really bothers to ask these questions in any way that actually affects anything, like at all. Because literally at the start of the game, you're told you are a prisoner. You have been down here for a long time, and it has been so long that no one, including yourself, remembers the crime that you did to get put in here. And it's like,
How do you have that bad a wait?
to be completely honest, I forget if the even yourself has forgotten is included in the opening scroll or not, but
Okay.
it feels correct. I
Okay.
feel like I remember that. I do remember that.
Wait, what?
The
Okay.
thing is,
It's the open. Which game?
Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion.
Okay.
Yeah, just like look at the beginning real quick. You know, it doesn't matter if it has that text or not. Fuck it. Maybe the audience will correct me. Maybe they have a better memory and a better fucking video than the one I found.
Maybe. Okay.
And also the ability to control time by not having to be recording a podcast while they look up their information.
Yeah, they can just pause the video right now and go
Yeah,
look it up.
under the stress of time, though. Fucking.
Yeah.
The thing is that regardless of if you do remember why you're in the cell or not, the game never asks you if you do, if there's a reason for you being in jail, or you're just there, you're just in jail because the game demands that you begin in jail. There's nothing there. You don't have a past. You are literally nobody. And there's plenty of really great stories where people go from fucking nobody to an incredible hero. But I don't think that Oblivion succeeds at that, because in order for somebody to be nobody, they have to like have technically been somebody first, right? Because like, okay, the thing with stuff like the Everyman and going from like a zero to a hero is that like they live an extremely average, ordinary life at first, right? And then they get thrust into heroicness, often against their wills. the various wills that all these characters possess. None of them really want this most of the time. Um, but that's not the case in Oblivion. You are a random prisoner who is in jail for a unspecified reason that is never clarified or even brought back up after the opening of the game. Bethesda decided that they wanted to open the game in a prison, and therefore decided that your character has to begin in jail. But then, like, the fact that you are an escaped convict never recurs in the game, to my recollection. I feel like I would remember something like that.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about like going from zero to hero in other games is like you become something in Oblivion and in Skyrim. You go from having no discernible personality of any kind to
God.
same thing as before, but level 80.
Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, at least in Oblivion you do have to end up like working for all the like big positions that you get, becoming like a champion fighter, becoming like master of the Thieves Guild, are all like numerous like fairly long and kind of convoluted quest lines. To become the master of the Thieves Guild, you break into the palace and steal an Elder Scroll, an artifact of intense, incredible power, and then you
Allegedly.
allegedly, and then you give it, and then you give it.
I've genuinely never seen any fucking explanation as to what the Elder Scrolls do or are aside from
Uh,
MacGuffins.
okay, well they are MacGuffins. Technically, what they do, the information that they hold is just like about like the nature of the universe and reality, and therefore it kind of rips your mind to pieces if you don't know what you're doing. Um, but yeah, in you have to. I think yeah, you steal an Elder Scroll and you get someone to read it because the current Master of the Thieves Guild is in a predicament and he needs it in order to get out of the predicament. The predicament is that he has a magic hood glued to his face that makes it so people forget who he is all the time. Like his original name and stuff is like completely erased from memory and history. No one remembers who he is.
Oh,
And he wants to undo that, and he does
I thought
with
this
the
would be
Elder
useful.
Scroll.
I was wrong.
um, and so he wants to undo that so he can go back to his life. And that's what the point of stealing the Elder Scroll is. But he can't do that because the I don't forget why he hires you to do it after you've like worked your way up in the Thieves Guild. I honestly do not remember, and frankly, this is one of the few times I don't super care all that hard because the mission itself is really really fun anyway.
Fair.
This is probably just because I like stealth games, but
Why'd
I
you hire
found
me
it
to get
quite
this for you
enjoyable.
again? That doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I get to sneak around.
Go.
There is, however, the problem that like Oblivion stealth mechanics are severely underdeveloped because it is, in fact, not a stealth game. Believe it or not.
What?
Um, I know, right?
It's crazy.
But still, I still had a good time with it, and I don't recall having a good time in any of the Skyrim Thieves Guild quests, or particularly having to like actually feel like I was trying to work at being trusted by its various members. Because you kind of just walk in, and like 3 days later, you own the place,
This is mine.
and that's like one of the major problems with Skyrim, which we are going on to now. I did not really talk about everything with Oblivion that I wanted to talk about, but there's so much I have to say about Skyrim that we're just gonna move on anyway.
And I can actually talk about this one a little bit.
Yay!
Kinda.
A
Yay!
little bit. In Skyrim, you are the Dragonborn.
Well,
But you don't get to actually use that power like at all. Similar to Oblivion, you do start as like a prisoner, but you don't what you were doing before you get caught at the border is never expounded upon,
And
uh,
it's never relevant.
and it's never relevant because you never try to leave again.
I'm here
I
now.
do not, yeah, right. I do not know what fucking person in it was trying to cross the border for whatever reason would not, after being freed, then just go to try and cross the border again now that they know that the place that they were going to be executed has been turned into dragon food. The dragons aren't my problem, I don't think, because I don't know I'm the dragonborn yet.
The only thing I could see, which is not expressed in the game at all, but like I could see it, is like because as the dragon thing's happening at the start of the game, you can follow like I don't know, like 3 different people around like to get out of the situation, and like I could see it being like me and my buddy have escaped or something like that, but and then they
I
rope
feel
you
like
into
that's the
whatever they're part
thing.
of.
I feel like that's the thing that's like technically implied because that guy does whichever guy that you escape with
Yeah.
does tell you to like, hey, could you go down the road over to Whiterun and tell the Jarl that there was a fucking dragon attack at Helgen?
Yeah.
Uh, but everything after that, because immediately thereafter you get hired by the Jarl to help his court wizard find a rock, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm being facetious. It's a mystical stone tablet, but still,
Is a rock.
It is a rock.
Is a rock.
It's got writing on it. It does not change the fact that it's a rock.
Is a rock that someone scratched some shit onto, and we think they're words.
Yeah, like, honestly, I don't even remember the relevance of that in the story.
Doesn't come back.
It doesn't. I know that much. But like, what was even the pretense for that in the first place?
The pretense for it is that it's the dragon stone or something, and the Jarl has you instead of sending someone else to do it, he sends you, this guy you just met, to go to Bleak Falls Barrow, a notoriously dangerous place, and get this magic rock for his court wizard. For some reason,
Maybe.
because the plot has to happen, I guess.
Maybe
And
he thought you would die, and then you come back with the rock, and he's like, "Oh shit!" Wait, hold
okay,
on.
but why would he want to kill you?
I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't like strangers. He's just like, leave me alone.
Of all the things, Skyrim never once asks itself why. Never. Why does this character do that? Why do they trust you so suddenly and implicitly? Like, a degree of a character trusting you a little bit more than they should when you first meet is just what happens in video games. But like, to this degree, that I'm being let in on like stuff that is this important this quickly. Maybe if it was like a team of people being sent to Bleak Falls Barrow and I was a part of it, and then like, you know, miraculously me and like 2 other people maybe survive, that would, I feel, make a lot more sense. But it's just you. Only you are sent. This guy he just met on this task that seems pretty important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense if you put any amount of thought into it. Lucky for me, I didn't think at all when I played that game once ever.
That is what it demands of you.
No thinking. Only go. Just go do the thing.
And this is kind of exacerbated by a lot of the rest of the game. A very common Skyrim critique is that you go to like the major places throughout the game and you just kind of become the leaders of them, mostly by doing nothing. Mostly just because you are there and are the most currently available person. That's how you become the master of the Thieves Guild and the Archmage of the College of Winterhold, and also the speaker of the Dark Brotherhood, which is even more fucking coincidental because you're sneaking around in a place you really shouldn't be in the fucking Assassin's Guild location, and you hide. You hide in a coffin that has the corpse of the Night Mother, she's like a mystical figure that's revered by the Dark Brotherhood, and you're hiding in there in order to spy on a secret meeting. And you're like,
Mhm.
and then you get spoken to by her, which hasn't happened in a long time. You're just like literally mystically chosen.
Hey.
Uh, yeah, imagine the fear and terror that happens when the mummified corpse you're hiding next to
Just like
starts
snaps
to
its neck
psychically
towards
talk
you.
to you.
It just like snaps its neck towards. Hey, buddy.
It's been a long time since anyone could hear me speaking.
Hey, you're finally awake. You're trying to cross the
Starts
border,
all
right?
over.
Yeah, like, ah! Everything morphs back to the cart. Like, ah!
Everything morphs back to the cart, but now there's a coffin on the back of it.
Every time you get in that coffin and it morphs back, more things are coffins.
It's just like more coffins stacked on top of each other.
Modders, you know what to do.
This is the only reason. It's like half the reason I think Skyrim continued with its relevance is because of the modding community.
Mhm.
Also a well-trod piece of criticism. Because Bethesda can't be asked to fucking fix their own games, so the modders do it for them because they like the game and want it to be better.
Mhm.
I mean, I've said before, and I will say again, that Bethesda no longer releases games; they release a bunch of assets that the modding community can do whatever the fuck they want with.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a similar thing that happened with Rockstar and GTA 5 because GTA 5 used to have terrible loading times. It would take forever.
I mean, what do you mean had terrible loading times?
Well,
It's gotten better? It was
Yes.
worse before?
Yeah, it got better. Somebody made a mod for the game that basically fixed the loading issue and made it much faster, and it is much faster. At least on Xbox it is. And but instead of Rockstar like Bethesda just going, "Oh, they'll fix it on their own. It's fine." Rockstar literally took that guy and went, "Hey, can we pay you to actually implement that into the game?" And so like, I think that's okay. Like when you see somebody in the community fix the problem, and then you're like, "Come here, come here. You're coming with us.
Give me your brain.
Give me your brain. We'll pay you for this." Like, I
Pay
feel
you
like
for your
that's
skull.
yeah, like I feel like that's cool. That's great. But Bethesda, it seems like they're just relying on the community to just do all of the shit themselves and then not giving any feedback as to whether like, "Oh man, I'm so glad you did that. Thanks," or "How dare you do that to my game? Fuck you," or like anything. Like they just don't. They're just not paying attention.
No, they are paying attention because they expect all the free labor.
No, you're right.
like I don't want to be very clear that like my intent when I do any kind of like Skyrim criticism or any criticism of I suppose any game really is not to get people to like be on my side and also dislike it, or even also like it if I'm doing it about a game I like.
It's to get people to not like you.
Well, I mean, it might be. Yeah.
Well, don't worry, Cole. We'll never not like you. There's nothing you can do. You can't escape us.
Oh, okay. Allow me to go murder 17 orphans.
Wait, what?
They deserved it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I haven't even gone to talk about any of the mechanics of Skyrim so far.
What
Here's the
mechanics?
I'm gonna let you go on a tangent. I'm gonna be right back.
Okay, that's great. This will be like 15 minutes of uninterrupted speaking.
Okay.
the mechanics in Skyrim, I don't think are very good. I don't think it's not being a mage in Skyrim is like it's a good time ultimately. At the end of it, at the end of it, the entire rest of the thing, the whole interim from beginning to the end of it is a nightmare of epic proportion. Because your spells don't like scale really at all, you have to like be pretty consistently getting new ones that cost more mana and do more damage, but they cost a lot more mana. So if you I know some if this video gets any kind of popular whatsoever, I know for a fact there's gonna be some fucking nerd in the comments saying it's not mana, it's magicka. I don't care. It gets the point across. Great time to return. The point is the magic in Skyrim feels bad. I don't feel like a wizard. I feel like the world's shittiest gunslinger.
I feel like I'm being forced to manage both a health bar and a magic bar.
Oh, like that's what's happening.
Because every time I level up, it's like, okay, do I want to live a little longer, or do I want to be able to cast literally any spell?
Do I want to be able to do the thing that actually guarantees I do damage at all,
I don't know if
or
I ever
not
used...
die as often?
I don't think
Or do I want to just switch my focus entirely and not deal with magic?
Or do
Yeah,
I want to inevitably become a stealth archer?
I don't think I ever used spells in my playthrough.
Yeah, because they're kind of bad a lot of the time.
I mostly just swung sword and shot arrow and yeah.
There's a few like pretty decent magic things, but notably most of the magic things that are good are the parts where it crosses over with the other aspects of the game. Like if you go down the conjuration path to make it so that your bound weapons do more damage, then like you that's pretty nifty. They do a decent amount of damage, and you don't really have to worry about like smithing and like upgrading your materials. God, I hate upgrading shit in Skyrim.
Not that it's ever necessary or even like encouraged for the most part.
The smithing
Like,
skill tree is kind of useless.
yeah, most
It's
of the
only
gear that
useful.
you end up getting, you loot off of some motherfucker that you
The,
encounter by chance.
yeah, the smithing skill tree is only useful for like making unique weaponry, like Daedric and Dragonbone weapons and armor. But it's
But who
completely
the fuck needs armor
unnecessary.
in Skyrim?
I mean, it's very useful. Listen, all right, it does a decent amount of damage reduction. 'Cause playing a mage and you can't, you, playing a mage in Skyrim is worse for several reasons. One of them is the mana health split. The other one is the fact that in order to be armored at all, you have to like either wear armor and break the aesthetic, or wear robes, which do give you like an increase, like mana regeneration or like decreased cost in casting certain spells, or give you like 50 more points of mana. So like they're very useful. But then there's the fact that in order to then have armor, you would have to cast one of the armor spells and therefore take a decent chunk out of the mana that you have, and then start casting offensively. And it's just not all that great. Like this works in other games because there's like the mana health split works in other games because there is uh better defensive options for mages than the clothes, with normal clothes. It's like a t-shirt and pants, classic mage attire, pajamas.
Everyone knows you're more effective at casting spells when you're ready for bed.
This spell I can cast.
Your mind is at its sharpest when you're trying to sleep and keep having random thoughts.
Spellcasting powered by intrusive thoughts would be kind of terrifying.
Oh, I'd be
Oh,
great at that one.
absolutely. Yeah, you'd be great at it against your will half the time.
Yeah.
the and this is not talking about as well the other part of the gameplay. Two of the other three combat disciplines in the game. The second one is the hitty people. Now listen, this is maybe the second best type of combat. Sorry, third best type of combat, and therefore second worst type of combat that Skyrim has to offer. And it's leagues better than the magic combat is, right? And the reason I'm talking specifically about the combat disciplines of these things is that, like, that's what you spend the majority of your time in Skyrim doing, is fighting people. These mechanics should be better refined. Um, Technically, the fighting has, like, a block mechanic, but if you're going like a close-up melee fighter, you're not going to be using it, because you're going to be having armor and enough health potions to kill a horse. So you don't... Or bring a horse back from the dead, maybe.
Yeah, I was about to say. Can you overdose on health potions?
Not in Skyrim.
I wish you could. Become. It's like eating the entire pill cabinet at once. You become immortal for a brief time before immediately collapsing inward on yourself.
The greatest potion of healing causes your cells to regenerate so quickly that you just rapidly age. There's technically a block mechanic that you're probably never going to use because it doesn't, it's not, you don't have to. You just take the damage and you pause the game and you heal a bunch, and then you keep swinging. Which, like, sure, is that better than the magic and having to down a whole bunch of mysterious blue liquid? I guess downing a bunch of mysterious red liquid is not as bad.
What do you
And
mean,
also,
mysterious red liquid? I only eat food to save myself from dying.
oh yeah, hang on, let me get repeatedly 2 health points from all these cabbage heads in my backpack.
I cannot eat too much. I'm physically incapable of dying from overeating. Or even suffering any adverse effects. Now I'm going to drink 7,000 fluid ounces of alcohol
Wait, no.
and suffer a little bit of stamina regen penalty, and that's it.
It's not even a screen effect or anything.
Yeah.
My main things around the critiques about, like, the melee combat is all about the complete shit that is the block mechanic, because I've played several games where there's an excellent block mechanic. You get the counter afterwards, it's great. In Skyrim, it's none of this shit whatsoever. You can block, yeah, and it can, like, briefly stagger your opponent for like a moment, but the stagger doesn't last long, and it also doesn't, like, really do much for you, because all it really lets you do is, like, get one free hit off, and it's not even like a crit or anything. It's not even like a cool stab that you get. You don't get like a reward for doing like a perfect block or anything. I don't even think there is a perfect block mechanic.
There's not.
You just do the conventional block, and then bada bing, bada boom. You hit him once, you get one free hit. And the thing is, though, that, like, it's completely unnecessary. You don't have to engage with this mechanic whatsoever, and not even in a, like. It's not a you don't have to engage with this mechanic as in, like, it's one of many options that you can or cannot choose to engage with. It's completely fucking superfluous. It's unnecessary, because why would you expend the brief amount of time blocking when you can just do a power strike and, like, stagger them still anyway and do damage at the same time? Why would you block when you can just keep hitting the button to stab them? over and over and over again, and they'll die faster. And that's kind of like the whole point of fights in these games, is to kill people in the fastest amount of time. And then the stealth combat, and the stealth aspect of things. Large meme, every combat, every fucking build in Skyrim devolves into stealth archer because it is just de facto the best one that there is. It does the most amount of damage in the fastest way possible, which is, like I just said, the point.
Fair.
The thing is, though, like I said about Oblivion, stealth mechanics in Skyrim are also bad because it's not a stealth game. There's there's so much that goes into stealth games in order to make them good. There's lots of stuff that has to be taken into account with like height and elevation and light and shadow and distance and like sound. You have to think about a lot when you're building a stealth game because you want it to feel like you're actually sneaking around instead of just like crouched down to half your height and now you're suddenly invisible. People, the guy was looking right at you. Suddenly he doesn't see you anymore.
Where'd he go?
You've completely vanished.
You see, the answer is simple. None
And you
of
lose
the
an arrow from point blank into his spleen. Sorry, go on.
there's a so you see the answer to this dilemma is simple. You see, it's none of the NPCs have object permanence, so if you just crouch down out of view, they don't know where you are. You cease to be in their perception
They
of reality.
absolutely do not have object permanence.
They have the perception of a baby.
Object permanence is earned in Tamriel.
It's earned by being the protagonist. Only you can remember where objects are once they're behind a wall.
You earn it by having a real life person control your movements like a fucking puppet.
And that person may or may not have object permanence, depending on.
Little baby playing Skyrim, just no idea what it's doing.
Like everything, and like Skyrim takes none of the things that make a stealth game like actively enjoyable to people who like stealth games, i.e., myself, into account because it's not a stealth game, and I'll admit like that's like way too complex for the average RPG to actively track. So like I'm not super miffed about it. I am still miffed about the way in which they went about the fucking stealth skill tree, where yeah, at its higher levels, you can just crouch in front of people, completely fucking vanish, and then just shoot them in the face and get like a times 16 critical damage. It's so fundamentally ridiculous that I just can't deal with it. And this is the crux. This is the crux of ultimately at the end of the day all my problems with Skyrim. And this is the thing about Skyrim that it actually is not objectively bad. It's one of the things that I say objectively bad as if the things I've been talking about make it objectively bad. You can like these things. I think that they're bad, and therefore I think that you have bad taste if you do. But like, I'm a random stranger on the internet, so
believe everything
who
we say.
cares?
Take us back.
We're forming a cult starting now.
No, hold on. Allegedly.
The thing with Skyrim, and also kind of Oblivion, is that they're just really, really indulgent power fantasies. And that's fine. That's the thing that at the end of the day is just not for me. I don't like that kind of game. I don't find it fun or engaging. I find no enjoyment in it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Skyrim that I see isn't people engaging with any of the story elements that aren't all that bad. I have a few things about Skyrim story that I don't actively like, but there are some characters in it that really stand out. And there's like a few story elements that actually like do make sense that I think are actually quite good.
Mm-hmm.
I might talk about them maybe. I'll think about it. But at the end of the day, Skyrim is like really, really into the power fantasy aspect of things. It's specifically the kind of power of like being able to turn into a vampire lord in the middle of a town and massacre a bunch of people for shits and giggles.
Except essential NPCs.
Yeah, except the essential NPCs who you cannot murder. That's the thing I was coming back to about essential NPCs. A lot of the fun that I see people have in Oblivion and in Skyrim and in Starfield is just from going on a goddamn murder spree.
The rest of the game isn't memorable enough to stop you from doing that.
And what's the point in going on a murder spree if you can't even kill all of the people?
True. True. Yes.
There's technically fun to be had there, and this all, I think, continuously compounds into the most recent Bethesda title, Starfield.
Before we get into Starfield,
Yes.
Can I talk about the one instance where I played Skyrim?
Absolutely.
Okay. I did play it once. So it's ground here. And basically what happened in that playthrough was I don't know if y'all know this. I play a lot of Halo, and I'm very, very used to the type of game where it has a little thing on the map that tells you where to go, and then you go there. And Skyrim didn't really have that. And so,
Technically, it does on the compass, but like, if it's your first time playing a game like Skyrim, you would not think to look there.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, they tell me to go to the castle and do the thing with to get the wizard stone thing, whatever, and I do that, and then I think a dragon shows up and kill it, get the thing, and then they're like, go up the mountain to talk to the elders, and I got there eventually. And then once I finished that and I got back down the mountain, I was just kind of like, okay, now what? Because I don't know if it's like they didn't tell me or I just forgot what they said. But I just full on did not know where to go after that. Wandered around a bit, did some faffing, found a dog completely off script. The animations for the dog broke and it became a sliding mess. And then I didn't play it again. So, someone coming into the game completely blind, unaware of how to play, y'all need to make your mapping more apparent, because I didn't find that. I didn't find that.
The stuff with the graybeards on top of the mountain is there's some there's like particular shit you have to do while on the mountain, and it's I forget if it bugs frequently. If it does, it wouldn't be surprising. Or if there's just like a weird little gap. Because to my recollection, between getting up there and talking to the specific graybeard, there's a specific one that you have to talk to. You go in the temple, you talk to the old man, and he gives you stuff, and they teach you how to use the famous Fujo Da shout. Yeah, just Foos at that point.
Foos. Foos. Foos is really funny to say.
And then afterwards they go into like the back courtyard where they teach you another shout, and they tell you to go get like a horn of some guy. And it's like the going into the courtyard thing is not something that I think is communicated well. So I think that's probably where you got lost. Like, well, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah, like
because they do say briefly, oh yeah, we're gonna go into the courtyard now and do some other things, and they all move out there. But like if you miss that one moment,
yeah,
and you're not familiar with the quest interface, you don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah, I don't remember if that's what happened or if I forgot that they told me to get the horn thing. Either way, something was forgotten, and I got lost. And that should not be the case when playing any game. The user interface should be very clear and easy for me to access and learn, and it wasn't.
Oh god, yeah, the user interface on console is like kind of wonky
I was
in a way.
I was playing on computer.
It's also wonky on computer because
Well,
they use the same. I was thinking about it on console because on console you only have the controller,
Oh, yeah.
whereas on a computer you do have the keyboard, which can make accessing some of the menus a little easier. But like with the controller, because like the way that you access like the more detailed quest menu is not through the standard like pause thing that you use to like open your inventory and stuff. For some fucking reason, there are two different pause menus. And one like this is kind of standard of some games to have like two different pause menus. One with like save and load and options and exit game and stuff like that, and the other one is like all in-game stuff where it's like, okay, this is like your inventory. This is where like your resources are stored. And Skyrim does that, but it does it in a really bizarre manner. Where I think you hit up on the D-pad
What?
to access the initial menu. That has like your inventory and stuff in it, but it also has a quest thing that just leads you to the quest tab. But the quest menu is stored in the menu with save and load and all that other save and load and options and all that stuff. For some reason.
That sounds confusing. I don't like it.
It is confusing, and I also do not like it. The point here at the end of the day, though, is that all of the problems that I have with Skyrim are just compounded in Starfield, rather. Sorry, the similar titles.
Sure.
You dare fucking compare Starfield to my D&D game?
D&D game that lasted like 4 sessions.
No, the one I'm playing in.
Oh,
You also called the one that you ran
Yeah, because they're set in the same world.
Yeah, I know. That was the one I was familiar with. I forgot that the one you're in is also called Starfall. This is really important to me because for so long now, I haven't even talked about all this shit with Fallout 4 because Skyrim is the like epitomal example.
Yeah, Fallout 4 is just Skyrim in a different setting, really.
There's a few other differences, but I don't care enough to discuss them. Because like Fallout 4, I feel was less influential on Starfield somehow, with the exception of like the gunplay, because Fallout has guns and Starfield has guns. It's basically just Fallout 4 in space, but also Skyrim in space.
guns.
I already started the model, which is why it's going to always be Skyrim in space.
Yeah, exactly. Skyrim really is like, yeah, it started the model. It's the epitome of all of it, and well, the problems compound in Starfield. Starfield also does not ask who you are. Who you are does not matter to the story. And any of the past that you could possibly have doesn't fucking matter. You want to play a character? You have to imagine a character arc. Just make shit up in your head. What do you think this is? An interactive experience between you and the video game? No. This is pretend playtime.
Yeah. Woo. And I think I touched on this a bit in the last episode. I don't know if this is in the extended edition or not. But like I talked about how like I do a similar thing with Halo games where I pretend to be the person in the suit, specifically Reach, but that's because it Reach is more about what's currently going on in the story. It's not about, creating a character and making them your own thing and
Yeah, the
molding
Halo
them
games
into
you
this.
might notice are not RPGs.
Yeah, like so, yeah, the Halo games are first-person shooters with really good stories. Good enough, in fact, that what's your character's background? Who cares? It's a really cool story happening right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the other games are really good, and you can do like roleplay stuff in them. But it's not like it's not the focus of the games, so
Yeah.
they don't suffer for a lack of it.
Yeah, like for Halo, it's understandable that like I do that because the focus isn't to roleplay. The focus is to shoot alien, go burr.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when a game that's meant to be roleplay based expects you to do all the role playing in your head and not in the game, then it's like, well, then why did I buy the game? I might as well just go sit in a corner and imagine everything in my head.
Might as well just playing Dungeons and Dragons instead.
Yeah.
At least then I'm also engaging with other people.
Yeah. At least then my background matters.
At least then at least then I'm actually role playing in the role playing game.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, it's stupid. Why would you want to do that?
Who would ever want to role play in the role playing game?
Yeah.
See,
You're telling me you want to play a role?
Role playing? In my role playing game?
That's dumb and stupid. You should feel bad.
Yes.
See, Starfield starts with your character ending up in like a mine where you are mining resources for a mega corporation. For some reason, that doesn't matter. In fact, who you are in this matters so little.
I'm noticing a pattern.
Yeah. In fact, who you are matters so little to the situation that character creation begins after all the stuff in the mine happens. You don't even get to know what your character looks like until everything I don't know if it's everything in the mine exactly, but like at least the opening sequence in the mine is resolved. Like that's none of these fucking games ask any questions of you. They don't ask you to make a character to immerse yourself in the world. They ask you to make just like a skin to interact with its game elements, and that's it.
Yeah.
And this is notoriously bad in Starfield because like science fiction and also fantasy, because they are cousins and also brothers and sometimes lovers even, depending on not all those things at once. I should clarify.
I mean, not necessarily not all those things at once, but like
Depends on who's writing it.
yeah.
These are works that like do sometimes ask, who the hell are you? But like science fiction and speculative fiction especially are asking like what will become of us in the future. And the thing that Starfield creates is the thing that some other sci-fis have done that I think fucking sucks, and that is it takes the world exactly as it is right now and just puts it in the future. Everything is the same, but now you can go to other planets and visit them, and that's the only difference. And like the other planets are treated as if they're like, as if it's like, oh, I'm going to Disney World in Florida for a month, right? Like it's there's no real like active world building going on because it's just literally our reality right now, but with a science fiction skin painted over it, instead of like, you know, doing the fiction part.
Yeah. No, the fictional part is the fact that it's in space.
Yeah, the fictional part is the fact that it's in... It's in space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What more do
yeah,
you need?
obviously.
It's called sci-fi. It doesn't specify how much is fi.
You wanted sci-fi? Too bad. You get science social commentary. Not even that. You get
Not even
science society. Science
Science
society.
science
society.
society.
That's what Sci-so. Something like that.
The thing you get out of the mines, a whole bunch of stuff happens. You get to this like society that is all about this like place called the Constellation Society or something. And it's all about like discovering new things and mostly hoarding that information and just sitting on it and doing nothing with it. But
Mm.
you know, in an actually well written game or well written anything, you know, that there would be like some kind of discussion about like, oh, for what purpose are we gathering all this information? Oh, we're just gonna sit on it, we're just to have, and that's it. And there's no discussion about that at all in the game. It's just the objective. So you do the objective.
Hmm.
In fact, and then when you get to this place, a whole bunch of all the other people there uh, are really just like token interested in you. You still continue like every fucking other Bethesda title for the past several years. You get no opportunity to talk about your character's past. There's not a role to play here. You're just a shell being puppeted by hands from beyond time.
Mhm.
And if this were Deltarune, that would be a plot point.
If this game were written by someone with an ounce of fucking imagination. What makes Starfield worse, even worse, is two things of the plot. One is the New Game Plus. The other is the technically the main story, which is so God, it's even worse than the things previously. I have a lot of issues with the main story of like Skyrim's pacing and things. I think the main problem with Skyrim's main plot line is it has numerous pacing issues. Um, but otherwise, I think it's fine. It's completely passable, and there's several moments in it that I actively like that I thought were pretty cool. Everybody loves Parthenax. That's just even I love Parthenax, and I mostly disdain the rest of the fucking game. Parthenax is cool. He's a cool character with a neat concept and somewhat clever writing some of the time. It's a shame that he's not in like the rest of the game to any real degree. He's kind of chronically underused, but
Then he's also, forced to be killed off for no good reason.
well, you don't have to do that. But that quest will then sit in your inventory in your quest log for the rest of the fucking forever. Yeah, that is one of the things. Like I think a really weird thing in Skyrim. The blades were dedicated originally to like protecting the Emperor and like as like a covert force of semi-covert force of people to deal with issues. And particularly as the years went on, they were used to try and deal with the Thalmor, the people who are kind of fucking everything up right now. And it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, and like, yeah, in the past times there were also dragon hunters. Why are they so dedicated to being dragon hunters in this game that once the dragon crisis is over, why don't they deal with the more immediate problem of the Thalmor again? Why don't they try?
They're too
Dude, the
tired. They need a nap.
Orthodox is just chilling on a mountain and he's been doing it for like thousands and thousands of years. I think we can leave him alone.
No, we need to get him.
He must die for
Having
reasons.
way
Don't
too
even
much
really get a
vacation
reward
time.
out of it. That's besides the point. We're supposed to talk about Starfield.
Yeah, we went backwards.
The technically the plot of Starfield is you find the constellation whatever's found a magic rock, and they're curious about the magic rock, and so you go find more magic rocks. And along the way, you're kind of haunted a little bit by these two people who possess some kind of weird influence or sway over reality itself, and they're trying to persuade you to one worldview or the other. It's very much between them both something of like a they're trying to persuade you like, oh, will you be a predator in this world or will you be prey? And it's like, nice dichotomy, idiot. Now what lies beyond it? A question never posed by the game itself, by the way. It's like, yes, the predator-prey dynamic. That definitely is how societies work. Nothing more complex going on there. Definitely can apply that rule to the entire world. Ignore, like, fungus and, like, everything that fungus does. Ignore, like, symbiotic relationships that exist between two completely different species. No, there's only one dynamic in this world.
Yeah, it's humanity. Once again, top of the food chain representation, baby.
Woo!
And you get to the end of the game, and you find out that these alien rocks are used to like grant someone essentially godlike powers, and they become starborn. And when they do that, they transcend reality, and they can go from dimension to dimension, influencing various things. Yes, this is how the game ends.
I can't help but see the severe similarity to the term dragonborn.
I think that's a coincidence.
Okay, it's weird.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's like
I have no evidence that it is not a coincidence,
Like,
and therefore will, for once, be merciful.
Okay. 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 I'll let it slide. You know what? Twice is a coincidence. 3 times is a pattern.
Yeah.
So if the next game they come out with, like, you end up being a fucking, I don't know, treeborn or something, like, then it's not a coincidence.
Skyborn. The born.
Born.
I can't wait for Todd Howard to buy the rights to the entirety of From Software and re-release Bloodborne. This time you play as the Bloodborne.
I am the Bloodborne.
Yeah, then you can access New Game Plus, which is your character going to other dimensions, which are the exact same in every way. Where you get the rocks all over again, and you keep doing that over and over to continuously ascend as Starborn. And here's the thing that kind of weirdly eats at me about the story, because I have read a lot of things where at the end protagonists come into like godlike power, but the things that I like, that I think is like actually a good plot thing, I don't like it when they just become a deity. I feel like that kind of feels a bit fucking like a literal god. Like that feels really cheap.
Yeah.
Like, why? Okay, what are you going to do with this power now?
Yeah.
And you don't get to really decide anything to do with it.
Yeah.
You don't get to stay in your original reality and choose to do certain things. You don't get to go to a new reality and engage in some kind of weird supernatural alien shit. Also, there's no aliens in this game, which I feel like is a severe missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Add it to the list.
The only thing that the New Game Plus adds, the only 2 things the New Game Plus adds, is you do get access to supernatural powers, like telekinesis. They're seemingly programmed very badly, no shocker there, because the physics in this game is always just the worst.
No, you don't get it. That's the allure of the game.
I do. Shut up, shut the fuck up. The allure of the games is the fact that when you punch a man in the face, he flies 3 yards behind while his boots stay on the ground right in front of you. That's the fucking slapstick comedy. That's the allure of the game. Go
I
watch
love playing
Looney
Tunes
Tunes.
the game.
Go watch Looney
Sorry, I really hit a spot in me.
Go watch that Bugs Bunny shit.
No,
Daffy Duck looking ass.
Full disclosure, never watched Looney Tunes. I just know it has a lot of slapstick in it.
I know. I suppose I get where you're why you're upset, because it's like the point of the game isn't to be funny slapstick, it's to be RPG, and it's failing utterly. When
Yeah.
the only thing keeping you there is it breaking.
Alright, the bugs can be funny. They're often kinda hilarious. Sure, maybe.
But if that's the only draw of the game,
Yeah. Then
why are you paying $60 for it?
exactly. Like I like you could get slapstick.
why are you paying for it? End of sentence.
Yeah, you could get slapstick.
I would pay
haha.
like $2 for a bug collection, okay?
Yeah, you could get like funny slapstick haha humor out of like a $10 game that actually is supposed to have it and work like that. You don't have to pay $60 for a shitty role playing game where you don't get to role play and instead get launched into space randomly by certain physics attributes. Like it just seems like a waste of money at that point. Which, you know, if you're really big into mods and stuff, then I can see it being fun.
Yeah, honestly, if that's what you like in a game, just play fucking Gmod.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
Was it I watched there's a very popular Slimesicle video where he basically just downloads 500 mods into Skyrim.
Oh yeah.
And tries to play it. and like there's multiple things where it's like, yeah, like the mods are broken because they're all clashing with each other, but also sometimes the game is just broken. It's just,
You can't really tell which is which.
yeah, you can't really tell.
The very first time I played Skyrim was at a friend's house, and I was under the illusion that you could do most anything in this game with few consequences, which is technically true. So in the first time that you go to it, and I stole like several ingots right in front of people because I was a kid and I didn't really quite get. This is slightly different from the times that I've told you guys the first time I played Skyrim, because I remembered recently that when I rented it was not the first time that I played it.
Ooh.
What made me want to rent it was this experience at my friend's house. So I stole several ingots, and so the town got mad at me and started attacking because I stole like a bunch of them. And you know, it's an entire town of people all stabbing at me, and I don't know how the game works. So I try and fail to run away, and then I die, and the game is stuck on my death screen. I do not respawn. I'm stuck in third person, staring at my ragdolled corpse.
It just perma killed you. Like it's like, no, you stole
Yeah,
too
That's
many.
what you get for being 10.
That's what you get, you thief. Permanent
What
death.
you did, 10-year-old child?
Yeah, fuck you. Try to play our game. Expect it to work.
Shouldn't have been a child.
Should have been a child. Should have known how to play games like this out the womb. Come out the womb with a fucking Xbox controller in your hands.
It would appear you are spawnless.
It's like,
Wow.
yeah. I guess like ultimately my main criticism of all of these games is that who you are doesn't matter in a role-playing game.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing. Like, I could take the janky mechanics, even the wonked up physics, if at least there were like more redeeming qualities in the actual like role-playing aspect or the actual story aspect. But even when the stories are good, it's still not enough to make me want to actively engage with these games.
Yeah.
Because everything else sucks.
Yeah.
And I'd rather spend my time playing Dishonored for the 50th time.
Yeah, I'm remembering now when I made my character in Skyrim, I originally was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pretend to be my first ever D&D character that you hate, Cole.
Hey, I only hated that because the joke started to grate on my nerves.
That's valid. We did a lot, but like I was gonna do that. do that in Skyrim because like I knew at that point that like nobody takes the game seriously, so I thought I'd just be a silly character. And at some point I forgot the character part because there was nothing to let me be the character in the game, much like what you were saying. Like it's very much just in your head, which is like I can normally do that when I'm playing Halo because I've played it a million times and I can just kind of run through it no problem. But if I'm playing a brand new game, especially one that's an open world and it's that big and I don't know how any of the menus work, I'm more focused on just trying to learn the game than anything else. So like the whole roleplay part gone. Like I just didn't even try after I think like 10 minutes. Like it's
You get through the introduction and it's like, oh, well,
yeah.
what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, basically. So it's basically just like what Bethesda has made here is a role playing game that, for new players especially, discourages roleplay entirely. Like even in your head, because it's like I'm so busy trying to figure out the menus and stuff that you haven't taught me that I can't even roleplay in my own head.
I feel like a lot of people, if Skyrim was their first open world RPG, they look back at it through like extremely rose-tinted lenses. Because it was my first open world RPG, and it was a terrible experience for a first open world RPG.
Permanently killed you the first time. I don't blame you.
Well, the second time I played it, I got lost like you fucking did.
Yeah.
Actually, I got lost before you did.
Oh,
because I could not find my way to the mountain. And I don't remember the game telling me how to open the map. And if it did tell me, I had not needed to open it before then, so I had forgotten how to do that.
Yeah. Like, I get not wanting to ruin the immersion by having a bunch of things that tell you what to open and how to open it, but goddamn it, just put it on the screen so I can play.
But when you have a Bethesda control scheme, you're fucking better.
Yeah.
Bethesda brand control scheme. That is
Bethesda control schemes fucking suck.
They are notoriously like, yeah, they're not so great. I'm realizing now that a lot of the games that I've come to really like in the past several years have a control scheme where like the button layout, at least you have the option to have the button layout like in the corners of the screen the entire time. And I like that a lot because I play a bunch of different games with the same controller, but so sometimes like what opens what menu is different between, like the interact button is different. Sometimes it's X, sometimes it's Y. Thankfully, most of the things that I'm using do detect the kind of controller I'm using, so it's not like it says Y, but it's actually X on the controller. But like, yeah, like sometimes like the interact button is different between games. So I like the fact that it has like either like a visual pop-up of some kind or the ability to have the button layout on the thing or an interface that makes sense, because the only thing on Skyrim's interface is the compass at the top of the screen, and I fucking hate compasses in open world games. Give me a mini-map, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But it's meant to be immersive.
Yeah.
How is that compass immersive? In any way, shape, or form. It shows you where caves are. In what world is your compass magnetically attracted to a cave with no mineral in it? It shows you where towns are on it fucking way.
Silly Cole. They didn't have mini maps back in the medieval times where there were dragons and magic and arcane.
Yeah, it's for the sake of realism in this game that takes place in a fantasy world.
It has such goofy physics that it might as well be a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Realism.
Realism is you get hit in the face with a fireball and you get thrown 30 feet backwards, collide so hard with the desk that you become one with it, and then your body jitters all over the fucking room.
Gmod banging noises.
Yeah, Gmod collision sound.
Yeah, like I said, if that's what appeals to you, play Gmod.
Yeah.
That is also one of the things that really irks me about Skyrim, especially still, because the epitome, we keep returning to it. Starfield hasn't been out long enough for it to become this, or maybe it never will become this.
I don't think it ever will, because it's always going to be Skyrim in space, or Skyrim but worse.
Yeah.
Fair.
People constantly try to like retrofit shit to go into Skyrim that Skyrim is just not designed for. Like if you want like a murder mystery style of game, play a different game.
Yeah.
If the ragdoll physics are the main thing you like about Skyrim, play a game where that is the point, ostensibly. And that is ostensibly the point of Gmod because it's so frequent and common there.
Yeah. Which is, it's really funny because
like, if you want to put a strategy game in Skyrim, just play a strategy game.
yeah, it's really funny that we keep coming back to Gmod as an example of like, I just go play this, which when it's technically started as a mod.
That is why it is Gary's mod.
Yeah.
I think the most apt comparison to Gmod and Skyrim is the fact that both of them are pretty bare bones without community mod support.
Mm-hmm.
And like no one would ever play Gmod without mods.
Yeah.
Just like no one in this day and age would ever play Skyrim without mods.
The difference is though that modding Gmod is the point.
Yes.
That is the point.
And Gmod works more like an engine than Skyrim does. I've seen so many people refer to Skyrim as like, yeah, it's kind of more like an engine in this day and age, and it's like you are ridiculous.
Yes.
It absolutely is not. Like you can achieve these effects better by using an actual game engine and not Skyrim as the base. Gmod, however, actually is kind of like an engine for a game because it's using the source engine, which has like a bunch of shit possible in it.
Yeah.
Just because Valve is insane.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, everyone who works at Valve is probably a little crazy.
Probably.
Either from the work stress or just like you kind of have to be insane to work there. I don't know, but that's
it's a prerequisite.
Yeah.
It's a prerequisite. Yeah.
Like we need your doctor's records. Why? No reason.
Don't worry
you
about
go
it.
get a psychological evaluation real quick.
Yeah, just
come back here.
Just to
We'll
make
pay for it.
Just to make sure. Just to make sure of what. Just
That
to
you're
make
a good fit for the company.
Yeah. Okay.
There are fewer things that I think ultimately end up summing Starfield up as the fact that until it had a title, even I think for a while after it had a title internally at Bethesda, it was just always called the space game. And if your only goal with your science fiction game is just to have stuff in space, I mean, I guess you did achieve that, so congratulations, but
yeah.
if that's it, you're not gonna make a good RPG.
No. Yeah.
Let alone a good science fiction RPG.
Yeah, there's got to be a story focus there, not just put thing in space. Yay! Did it.
We did it, guys. We made the space game.
We did it, lads.
The one of the things that bothers me about the end of it, returning to that, where you become godlike, is that the rules of the rocks are that only one person can ever have their powers. You can't even do the cool thing of like, with my godlike power, I choose to split it amongst the entire populace of the universe. No.
No,
not at all.
No, it's mine. You can't have it.
You don't even get the option to do that. If that's something your character would want to do, you don't even get the option to choose to complain about that working that way because you don't get to play a character in the role-playing game.
Sharing.
Sorry, the space game.
Yeah. Sharing may be caring, but I don't care.
And now I've finished pretty significant portion. I finished enough of the Bethesda. Everything else is like minute details
Well,
that are like they're my foibles that I have. They're not like actual game criticism. A criticism that I think is worth levying at specifically Starfield's character creator is it does let you choose the option to play as a non-binary gender. However, since there's no role playing in this role playing game, this affects zero things whatsoever. Um, there's like no other characters I think throughout the entire game that even are non-binary in any way, shape, or form,
does it
except for you, the protagonist, maybe
Yeah.
if you choose to do that.
does it even change the dialogue or
It does when you hear people talk about you in the third person, they will use they,
Okay.
but like I don't really know what else it changes, if anything. Which is, on one hand, like I'm sort of fine with.
Yeah.
Honestly glad the option is there, but also like when you're making a role playing game with roles to play, the concept of gender identity is kind of like an important aspect of a lot of people's identity.
Yeah. Though
And so to have like no references to it in dialogue whatsoever
yeah, that's
is
yeah.
weird.
Yeah. I will say
And
though
then to have like no non-binary characters in the world when it's an option in
yeah,
the starting menu
that
is also weird.
that especially is a bit strange because you're it gives this impression of like, oh yeah, you're non-binary and you're the only one who's non-binary and there's nobody
Yeah,
else like you at all.
which is severely isolating to
Yeah,
feel like.
it's like oh okay. Yeah.
Wait, what you think this is supposed to be gender affirming? Nah, this is gender isolating.
um,
We're playing the long form of transphobia.
a
long
long
game.
con of transphobia. Um, so there's that. That's
Yeah.
kind of a weird thing to me. And like you can have it's the kind of thing of like I think that Bethesda did not put like some any kind of gendered references in there for two reasons. One, they don't like to put role playing in their role playing games. Two,
Who would have thought?
uh, at this thing we repeated several times.
Mhm.
The second is that uh, there's a weird thing that companies do where instead of like acknowledging that gender is like an aspect of people's identities, they just kind of like choose to not engage with anything about gender whatsoever. Uh, kind of like like just scrub it clean of anything that could be I don't know a little interesting. There's a lot of like fun philosophical thought that you can have on the idea of gender and how and how people relate to it and view it and express it.
Mhm.
Um, and instead of even trying to do anything with that, a lot of things just like fully just do not engage,
Yeah.
which is disappointing. But I do expect it to happen,
Mhm.
so it's like disappointing, but also like I don't know what the fuck else I expected from a corporation that's always going to hew close to safe fields.
Yeah.
Yeah, not engaging is always the safest route monetarily.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
and yet still people boiled their fucking skulls, their own skulls, with sheer rage at the mere fact that you can choose a pronoun option. The end of the world is coming. And it's because there's the option to choose between just 3 sets of words to refer to yourself in the third person. What fucking terror!
Yeah. I don't get it.
These are the biggest problems that some of these people have, and it's like, wow, you really live a
You live in
you really live a life, I guess.
yeah.
Where it's like the biggest thing that you're concerned about is the fact that now some people will have the option to choose this in a video game.
Yeah. Like,
Like, it's not even an option that this guy's...
it's horrifying to think about, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's
not even an option that these people choose to engage with. Oh, they get cooked over it.
Yeah. It's one thing that it's like it's literally just like choosing words, but it's an entirely other thing that's like it's a video game. It's not even reality. What?
No, wait, cool. I figured it out. They're mad about it for the same reason you're mad about it. Not because it's not because it not because they're transphobic, but it's entirely because they think that this is supposed to be a role-playing game, and that doesn't let you actually role-play in it at all.
Yeah, so what's the
it's
point in
not
choosing
bigotry,
gender?
it's criticism.
I'm glad the option is there.
Yeah.
I like the option quite a lot. I just wish it went a little more in depth in any way, shape, or form. But also, like, that's not super a criticism of Starfield specifically. And I understand that when you have voice actors, it's much easier to just have to record like 3 different lines when people refer to you in the third person instead of like many.
However many you could make.
70 alternative lines.
I have 70 alternative pronouns.
Oh god.
I think we can call it there.
Yeah, I think we can call it there.
Play the Clash of Clans sound.
If you have it, if not, random noise.
I know you don't have it. I'm just hoping you can get it really, really fast.
I would have to download it off of YouTube, but I will do you one better. That was the Clash Royale laugh emote.
Yeah,
You have committed crimes against Trope Troupe and its podcasters. What say you in your defense? Well, maybe just this once. But there's still another episode for you to watch. Better subscribe now, or we'll have to do this little dance again.